We all know Deion Sanders, Colorado Buffaloes, have begun the season 2-0. Last week they played Nebraska. Nebraska head coach Matt Rule had some stuff to say about Deion Sanders. Didn't sit too well with Deion's son. They proceeded to kick the butt of Nebraska Cornhuskers. And so this week, Colorado's going to play Colorado State. Now, earlier this week, the black head football coach at Colorado State, his name is Jay Norvell. Jay talked about how great it's going to be because this is going to be the first, I think he said this is going to be the first time two black head coaches, either the Pac-12, which I think Arizona played Stanford, and so you had David Shaw and Kevin Sumlin. But he made some kind of comment about two black head coaches competing against each other in the Pac-12, or maybe the first two black coaches from two Colorado schools. I don't know, whatever it was. And so Deion was like, you know what? Some complimentary comments. But then Norvell goes on ESPN, or he was doing some coaches show or whatever. And then he decided to start feeling himself, and he said this.
And so, we're excited. Our kids are really, we had to do a bunch of ESPN videos, and it was great. I loved it. But our kids came out of those videos really with a chip on their shoulder. They're tired of all that stuff. They really are tired of it. And I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off, and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So, they're not going to like us no matter what we say or do. It doesn't matter, okay? So let's go up there and play. And so that's just how I feel about it. Yeah. And so I don't mean to take over the show, but
it's your show.
I'm just tired of I'm tired of all that stuff. It's just and I know everybody else is too. So let's go play. And we got a bunch of good kids. I told our team there's not
That's what you had to say. Okay. Obviously, Deion Sanders caught wind of the video, and when he was coaching his team today, he said this.
Yes, sir. I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that Deion said about us.
Talk to us.
Once again.
Talk to us.
Why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday. Yes, but when they give us ammunition, they done messed around and made it what? It was just going to be a good game.
And they made this shit personal.
They done messed around and made it personal. It was going to be a great test, a battle of Colorado, but they done messed around and made it personal.
You know what happened to them last security guards?
Last security guard, talk to him, Jimmy.
That's right. What Jimmy? Jimmy,
talk to him, Jimmy.
Y'all know what happened to the last security guard. Y'all know what happened to the last security guard.
Come on, Craig, and go down.
Y'all know what happened to the last one.
You don't even know.
You don't even know. Hey, bump on me, bump.
Now, remember Norvell said, my mama told me, when you talk to adults, you take your hat off, you take your shades off. Did not take Twitter and the social media long to dig up photos of Jay Norvell at post-game news conferences looking like this. That hat is another visor. So I'm just trying to understand. There we go, visor. So you ain't always removing your hat. Now, let me go back to my panel here. So here's, I think, what you're dealing with here. And actually, I'm going to start with you, Greg. When you start hearing respectability phrases, we all know that there are certain things that are said that appeals to a lot of white folks in terms of how we respond, because we all know we all know what folks say. I remember when Solid O'Brien told me there was a black exec at CNN who said that I wasn't the right kind of black, and questioned the suits that questioned my attire, the suits that I wore, and didn't like, me wearing pinstripe suits. And it's always trying to get us to change our look and how we speak to make white folks more comfortable. And so when I heard that coming from Jay Norvell, and then you throw your mama in, and basically what you're saying is, my black mama raised me right. But see, that's one of them over there from the other side of the tracks. His black mama didn't raise him right because he don't take his hat off and take his shades off. Last year, and he was, Jay Norvell coached at Nevada for 5 years, and he went 33-26. So he was only 5 games over 500. So then he got hired at Colorado State. Last year, Colorado State went 3-9. They opened the season 0-1. So that's the coaching record. That's the coaching record of Jay Norvell. Now, if I pull up right now, Greg, the coaching record of Deion Sanders, and I look at Jackson State, and then I look at Colorado. Let's see, Jackson State went 4-3, then 11-2, then 12-1, and now they're 2-0. So he's lost 6 games as a head coach, has won 29 games. Man, don't nobody care about no doggone hat and shades. They judge you based upon wins and losses. And I'm sitting there going like, Jay Norvell, come on, man, you a brother. You know better than that nonsense.
I mean, Norvell and Sanders are both black employees of historically plantation college athletics. I really don't have a dog in this fight, Roland. It may not be easy for some folk to hear, but, back in April, the UFC and WWF teamed up to merge and create a $21.4 billion sports entertainment company. I look at plantation-style college athletics the way I look at WWF wrestling. The only people who think that's real are the spectators. And I think Deion Sanders is great for historically plantation college athletics with the cowboy hats and the shades. I saw him walk an old white lady onto the field playing an HBCU song. It wasn't the band playing it, thank God. If he says, give me my theme music to the Colorado band, I hope they play Money, 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 because Here I Go was left in Jackson. But, I do take note of the fact that of the 36,000 students at the University of Colorado, only about 2.5% are black. That for the first time in the history of their spring game, they charged $10 a seat, and they made $600,000 off of admissions, concessions, and swag gear. Sanders is moving a lot of product there, and he said himself last weekend that he thinks the city of Boulder made about $18 million. Deion Sanders is good for business, like WWF conflict sales. And so I really don't take any of this very seriously. Deion Sanders missed his historical moment. I think his historical moment would have been to take all that talent and all that swag and all that branding and keep it in HBCUs. Once he did that, he rejoined the historically plantation ecosystem with which he is very familiar. I wish him the best. I wish him the worst. I really don't have a dog in this fight. And when it comes to the kind of talk they're having, whether the other brother is a brother or not, is really of no consequence to them folk, because all they doing is counting money, brother. It's prime time in Boulder.
And it's you also mentioned 2%. There's also 2% at Colorado State. It doesn't mean any black people there in Colorado. In Colorado, but it's always interesting because, Lauren, I've literally seen white coaches got hat. Jimbo Fisher wears a hat in the postgame news conference. And I'm sitting like Jay Norvell, come on, man. Let's not even play into this little silliness. When you made a comment earlier in the week about how it's great to see 2 black head coaches at the 2 institutions in Colorado, then you come out with this silly stuff here, and then the white folks watching your show start cheering. That's right. Come on. Game recognized, game.
Yeah. Is Norvell black? I mean, he's black.
Yeah. No, he's black.
Okay.
And his dad, as a matter of fact, he's black. And in fact, his dad was the athletic director at Michigan State. Oh, he's black.
Okay. Okay, I know nothing about. I follow the NFL and the New York Yankees. That's pretty much it for me. I don't follow college sports until Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders has made me watch a team that I would never have dreamt in my entire life I would ever watch, which is Colorado. Okay, I mean, he basically did what Tiger Woods did for me with golf. I would have never watched golf if it wasn't for Tiger Woods. I was glued to golf after Tiger Woods. Now I'm glued to this team, this Colorado team. Because even though I agree with Dr. Carr on a lot of what he said, this moment right here where we have a very confident, very assertive, and very talented, smart black male who's not afraid to be confident and assertive in front of everybody is the reason why he's getting these dumb comments from other people in college football. They are nervous in the same way that we saw, in the historical sense with people like Jack Johnson and Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown, where when you come across this confidently and then you deliver and you're winning games, and then to add to it, his son is the quarterback, it unnerves certain people and unnerves other black people sometimes, right? So that's what this whole moment is about. It's very foolish. It's very stupid. I hope they win. I think they have a late game on Saturday night, which I will be watching after I go over to Howard to watch Howard and Hampton. I do wish he had stayed with HBCUs, of course, but I do love seeing someone black, whether it's Beyonce or Deion Sanders, bring the gate, bring the money, bring the power. I love seeing the whole thing. And again, I don't know nothing about really. I don't know anything about college football other than this thing that's happening right here, which I am enjoying a great deal.
I pulled this story up. I pulled this up right here, Reese. It looks like Colorado is favored to win by about 23.5 points. I'm just saying it ain't really a good thing to sit and talk a little trash when you might get the brakes beat off of you. And Deion might sit here and say, no, put up 60 or 70 on them. And I guess I think back, remember the scene from Remember the Titans when the white coach called Herman Boone, played by Denzel Washington, a monkey, and then when the game was over, Denzel shook his hand and then tossed a banana at him. I don't know about y'all, but if I'm Deion, I'm going to beat y'all by 50, 60 points. I might come to the center field, shake your hand, and toss a pair of shades at you. I'm petty like that. I'm petty like that. Reese, we know you petty, but I'm petty like that too.
Oh, first of all, I think there's no dispute on your level of petty. Okay, Roland. So we are here on that. I mean, yes, Dr. Carr, you're right about history, about significance, about HBCUs. Yes, absolutely. But we live in an entertainment society, and prime time is entertainment. He brings the drama, he brings the flair. And so, I mean, yes, you could. I mean, I'm not saying you personally, but yes, I think people have a great deal of reason to be justifiably salty about what he did, especially because he made such a big ordeal made himself a martyr of HBCUs only to bounce to Colorado. But in this instance, I'm 100% rocking with primetime because I despise respectability politics. And I feel like when people don't really have the ammo based on the substance, that's when they start to go to the little frivolous, trivial shit, like talking about how you're supposed to yes, massa, and tip your hat and take your hat off and take your shades off and show deference to the white people asking these black people questions. And so, yeah, obviously, to Lauren's point, Norvell is unnerved. He's probably going to lose. And so he has to make it about who's more respectable and who's been raised right. None of that shit matter. Who's going to win at the end of the day? That's what people are going to be talking about, not somebody's sunglasses.
Hey, this is what it boils down to. So I just don't understand. Look, man, do you? I don't care if you wear a hat, you wear shades, wear a visor. I really don't care. It don't matter to me. I mean, just do you. But most importantly, get your team ready, because the reality is they judge you based upon wins and losses and nothing else. And so, bro, you might want to go ahead and get prepared for that butt whip, because I'm telling you, I think Shador Sanders is going to be like, nah, Dad, let me go ahead and throw for touchdowns with 2 minutes left in the game, and we up 40. That's how they do. And here's the other deal. Let me tell y'all right now, I don't believe in this concept of you don't let players score. I believe you run the score up. I ain't got a problem with that because I personally believe, I don't know how you feel about this, Lauren, Reese, and Greg. I personally believe the third and the fourth stringers deserve to have a shot as well. And so I ain't got no problem if you putting up 50, 60, 70 points because, look, that's just what happens. If you ain't good enough to play, well, guess what? They don't play. That's just me. That's just me.
I'm with you.
All right, y'all.
I'm with you.
I appreciate.
I said, I'm with you, Roland. I'm with you.
Colorado just signed.
What'd you say? Go ahead, Greg.
Colorado might be make $31.8 million off the Big 12 deal starting in 2024. I don't know why anybody thinks that they're against Deion Sanders. They want him to. The Wu-Tang Clan was out. You know how many Negroes going to be buying Colorado jerseys? We're finished. If you want to know why we're not going to win, study Deion Sanders in Colorado or not.
One of the things that I remind people, to the point, and I've said this before, and folks, if y'all really pay attention to this show, one of the things that we try to do is really get people to understand history and break this whole thing down. Go back to the foreshot, understand the history of how we break this whole thing down, and that is, we have to understand institution building, and you also have to understand following the money. And so when you look at, perfect example, and I understand why we do it, but I think a lot of times we don't actually step back and ask ourselves why we do it. We talk about Jackie Robinson breaking the major league color barrier, and we hail that. We talk about how that's amazing. But I think people forget, first of all, the great players were in the major leagues. The white money was in, quote, Major League Baseball. They had better stadiums, better lighting, better uniforms, better food, better travel. But when it came to the play, it was better players in the Major League Baseball. Just Google Dizzy Dean, Dizzydean. He often played against Negro League baseball players in the offseason, and he said the better players were there. Now, and these were black players who sometimes played 3 and 4 games in one day. Jackie Robinson leaves. Jackie Robinson was not a star in the Negro League. He was barely there. But Jackie Robinson going to the Negro League actually led to the demise of the Negro League. So we complain about why you don't have any black owners of teams. There were black owners of the Negro League.
That's right.
All I'm simply saying is, people begin to understand when we talk about ownership. And the reality, and I get it. I totally get it. I totally understand what happens when we talk about mainstream, crossover, and things along those lines. But we also have to understand why it's important to build black institutions and understand the difference. And so I did the segment because the reason I did this segment is because Jay Norvell, a black coach, should know better playing into the respectability hands and how that's going to be received by his white patrons. And so when Jay Norvell criticizes Deion's hat and shades, he's criticizing black swagger. He's criticizing a black man who says, I'm going to come to Colorado, and I'm going to have the same swagger I had at Jackson State. And that's what, so to Greg's point, when the Wu-Tang Clan shows up at Colorado, you had cats showing up down there with Jackson State. And so Deion's like, I'm going to be Deion. If anybody knows Deion history, he was like that in high school, in college. The boy went to the NFL. The boy went to the NFL draft, rolled up in a limousine, got out, ran the 40-yard dash, and went back and got in the car and left. He wasn't sitting here working out like the rest of them. He ran the fastest time ever, said, all right, I'm out. That's the whole deal. But we have to recognize, and this is why I think this story is important, why I talk about how you got to do you. When we as black people go into white spaces, they say what they want, but they actually don't want our blackness to come with it. I go back to that Roland wasn't the right kind of black. That was a black executive who told Soledad O'Brien that I wasn't the right kind of black at CNN. So there's a certain type of Negro that they like. And so the reality is, what Deion is saying is, I'm going to do me, and I'm winning. Now, granted, it's a whole bunch of people who can't wait for their first loss, and their second loss, and their third loss. And they can't. Lord, don't let them not go to a boat. See, they lying in wait for them to lose. See, I told you. And so what we as black people, and this is why I'm doing this segment, when a bunch of y'all watching and listening, and say a bunch of y'all do this with Vice President Kamala Harris, but she ain't really black, you know, she Jamaican and she Indian. Well, ain't that something? Y'all claim Harry Belafonte as black, but he got Jamaican roots. You claim Colin Powell as a brother, but he got Jamaican roots. Oh, y'all love claiming Eric Holder, but he got Barbados roots. Oh, y'all love some Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael. Greg, what's his roots?
Trinidad and Tobago, brother. Trinidad and Tobago. So yeah.
So I'm just saying that as black people, we got to be real careful when we literally start using the language of the oppressors against our own in order to placate them and make them comfortable. That's why I did the segment, because it's a lot of us who do that, who then begin to change how we talk and how we act and how we walk. Don't you do that. The white folks are watching. What's wrong with you? You can't come in here and do that. What these white folks gonna say? That's exactly how a bunch of us sound when that happens. And so that's what Jay Norvell sound like. So Deion, go ahead and put up by 75 against them, and I ain't gonna be offended. All right, we got to go. Greg, Reese, Lord, I appreciate it. Y'all take care. Thanks for joining us.